Here's a second degree equation. We have 32c squared is equal to 8. And we just want to figure out what c is. So let's solve for c squared. So I want to get the c squared alone. So I want to get rid of that 32. And it's multiplying the c squared. So I'm going to divide both sides by 32. And so we have c squared is equal to 8 divided by 32, which is 1/4. Okay, and then to figure out what c is, we're going to take the square root. But we have to be very careful, right? When we take the square root, we know that we get 1/2, right? So 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. That makes sense. All right, but also a negative 1/2 times a negative 1/2 is also 1/4. All right, so we have to account for both the positive and negative roots. All right, so that's why we're getting a plus and minus. We can look at this another way. What if we subtracted 8 from both sides and we got 32c squared minus 8 is equal to 0? We have a common factor of 8, so we're going to divide both sides by 8. And that gives us 4c squared minus 1 equals 0. Then, its difference is squares, right? So we write our two brackets, take the square root of the first term. So we have 2c, take the square root of the last term, 1, put a plus, put a minus, there we go. Okay, you know how to do difference of squares. So we know that both of these brackets, like one of these brackets, one point is equal to 0, the other bracket, another point is equal to 0. So we rewrite our brackets, 2c plus 1 is equal to 0, 2c minus 1 is equal to 0, and we don't need those brackets anymore, so I can just remove them. And then I'm going to solve for c in both cases. Here I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, so I have 2c is equal to 1. Then I want to get rid of the 2. It's multiplying the c, so I'm going to divide both sides by c, so I get c is equal to negative 1/2. Over here, I'm going to do the same thing. I want to get rid of that negative 1, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I have 2c equals 1. I want to get rid of the 2. It's multiplying the c, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2, so c is equal to 1/2. So here we get c equals negative 1/2 and positive 1/2. Same thing. Okay? But the trick is to remember that when you take the square root of both sides, that you're going to get the positive and the negative roots. Okay? Think about it this way. What times itself gives you 1/4, right? Well, 1/2 times 1/2 gives you 1/4, but also a negative 1/2 times a negative 1/2 also gives you a positive 1/4. All right, that's it. Have a good night.